with those attendees who are present. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this audio message. I'm going to pause my screen. Move forward with time is of the essence with those attendees who are present. And we are in what's called the basic home view. It is attached to this home tab here at the top, the home tab associated with your Transaction Desk Pro account. This is where you will log into when you log into your Transaction Desk Pro, the home tab. Anytime you click on the home tab, it will bring you back to this page. So we are here to discuss activity plans, task templates, and to-do or that checklist management. Manage that workflow, that required workflow throughout that sale process, that real estate sale process. So from the basic home view, we are going to first click on the Settings tab. We're going to go to our Settings tab. Here, top row of tabs, was that fourth from the left? Settings, clicking on Settings. We're looking at the options available to us within our Settings tab. If you've never seen this page before, maybe just quickly speak to a couple of the other items that you may want to take a look at. My preferences, the opportunity to add in your personal contact information and really set your default account information, form settings for font, style, color, and size, your personal contact information, your additional features and filtering and default values for your Transaction Desk Pro account. Branding, upload your personal photo, your company logo, so that all of your outbound correspondence is branded with your personal photo, your company logo. So add those items in. We're here to discuss activity plans. We're going to click here on Continue. You scroll down just a smidge. There we go. Activity plans. Clicking here on Continue. We're first going to take a look at some existing ones, some activity plans, some task templates, because task templates really are the building blocks, if you will. They really are those individual checklist items. They are the workflow to order that survey or to order that home inspection or submit repair addendums or those items. Those are those workflow items. Order title commitment. Manage that sale process, that new listing, that new purchase. Manage those workflow items. Assign those workflow items to the appropriate people within your office, your real estate team, your business partner, whomever you want to assign. You can create share groups and assign the appropriate parties to these tasks. So I'm going to click here on My Task Templates. Clicking here on My Task Templates, because again, these are the individual items. These are the activity plans. Our activity plans are made up of task templates. So these are the individual workflow items, the templates that after 30 days reduce and rewrite ads or call seller every 7 days. These are tasks, individual workflow items. These are system values. So we've made a compilation from our clients and existing users, some of the most commonly used to-do items, if you will, or task items, and we've created these system values that you can use or even modify to a certain extent for your own usage. We can also create new task templates so you can add to this list. So if you find the ones that would benefit you, again, there are 69 different task templates available within your task management portion of your Transaction Desk Pro account. So these are here for everyone to use, system values that you can incorporate into your business. We are going to look at create a new task template. We're going to click here on this go arrow, and if you see, if I hover my mouse for a moment just throughout the system or throughout Transaction Desk Pro, if you hover your mouse on some of these other functional clickable items, it will give you that little bubble and tell you what that action will do. So click here on Go to create a new task template. What is a task template? Well, again, it is that checklist item, and I know that most of you have this already. You have this checklist either stapled or taped to the inside or outside cover of your manila folder. They are those tasks, those are those office checklist items that you go through and you check off those completed tasks as you go through that new listing checklist or that new buyer checklist. And as you go through those sale phases, you work through those required items to manage or successfully complete that sale process. So these are the individual workflow items. What could a task name be? Again, these could be the ones that are custom to your business practice or to your office, the items that must be completed to successfully complete the sale process and quite frankly get paid, so that your broker will disperse those commissions checks to you to complete these items throughout that sale process. So what would be one? I'm going to make one up here. It's going to be final walkthrough. Final walkthrough buyer, something like that. So I want to designate the side because it could be either listing or buy side. So I want to identify that for myself. Again, these are free-form text fields. You type in the naming or identifier that is going to be meaningful to you or to your business practice. You want to make sure that you can identify this task, what needs to be completed, the type and priority of this task, if those would be appropriate, or possible due dates. You can say none for this task template because, again, this template will be able to be used throughout all of your transaction files. You'll be able to reuse this one over and over again. The templates will allow you to attach this task to multiple transaction files, all of them, all of the ones that would require this to-do item. So when giving it a due date, we can choose none, as I'll set the due date after it's created or after it's been added to my specific transaction file. I'll set a due date. What I like or encourage is to choose a specific number of days on, before, or after a potential milestone date within your transaction file. So in terms of a final walkthrough, I may perhaps 5 days on, before, or after. We'll say before, in this case before the closing date. We want to schedule that final walkthrough. We want to make sure that we can schedule a final walkthrough for our buyer so that we can confirm that any required repairs were completed, or just make sure the property is in the same condition that it was in when we submitted the offer or came to that executed contract. So we set that. But again, these are the milestone dates within your transaction file. You can base the due dates of your tasks on these milestone dates. So by selecting closing date, once added to a transaction file, this task will become due 5 days before any specified closing date within this transaction file. We'll want to be reminded. We want to get an email reminder that this task is coming due, perhaps a day before it's due. I want to be reminded via email. Transaction Desk will auto-generate an email for this due date for this task. Opportunity there for that reminder. You can also automatically assign this task to a specific contact to the transaction file. So, this would probably be that selling agent. The selling agent is going to be responsible for scheduling that final walkthrough with the seller or with the listing agent in this example. Perhaps there's someone else who's responsible for that, maybe a transaction coordinator or somebody else. You can specify that contact, and when that contact type is added in, this task will be automatically assigned to them. So again, I'm going to choose selling agent for this example. So we've chosen our items. Let me just scroll through here one more time. We get another view. We gave the task a name. We gave it a type or priority if those were essential. We selected a specific due date, either none. I'll set it once the task is. It should probably say once the task is added. Once it's added to my transaction file, you can set the appropriate due date, or you can set it based on a specific milestone date within your transaction file. We're going to get an email reminder a day before it's due, and we're going to automatically assign this task to the selling agent of the transaction file. I'm going to save this task template. So I'm saving it. I've created it. It's now available to me within the task templates within my Transaction Desk Pro account. I can add this task template to any of my online transaction files. I can reuse it over and over and over again in all of my transaction files to manage that workflow item within my sale process. Task templates. You can create those individual task templates. Here they are, available to us. Task templates. Create new ones. Use the ones that are available from a system default. Task templates, building blocks of our transaction files. Now we're going to go to activity plans. This may be a good segue. If there are questions, please do not hesitate to type those questions into the GoToMeeting, GoTo Training sidebar. If you don't know what I'm talking about regarding the sidebar, it probably collapsed against the right-hand side of your computer monitor. At the top right corner, you would see a red box with a white arrow. By clicking on that white arrow, it will expand that GoTo Training sidebar. Two things. There's one, a materials page with some takeaways, some documents, and some links to other materials and webinar sessions, materials page. There's also that chat box where if you type questions into that chat, they will be answered during this demonstration, this GoTo Training live session. So please don't hesitate to type those in. We're now going to click on activity plans because the activity plans are compilations of task templates where you can group your templates into activity plans. So let's just take a look at one first, and then we will create a new one. So here's a buyer prospect residential sale activity plan. The activity plan contains task templates, adding participants to my file, confirm my appointment, pre-qualification letter from my buyer, review pre-appointment questions, set the appointment, thank you, pre-fill, so forth. These are the individual task templates, the workflow items. They are all incorporated into the activity plan, buyer prospect residential sale. So you can create those entire checklists, those office checklists. Each item is a template, a task template. The entire checklist is the activity plan. So you create these items, you add them into your Transaction Desk Pro account. I'm going to click here to cancel out. We were just reviewing. So let's walk through. We would like to create a new activity plan for our account. So clicking here, create a new, clicking on Go, arrow, going to first, again, give that activity plan a name. So what may be a decent activity plan name? I am going to choose, let's just use a lead. Well, that's not really an activity plan. Let's just do a listing checklist or for single family residential. Something like that. Again, I don't know if that's a great plan or not, but it is what it is. It's a free-form text field. You want to add in the naming structure that's just going to help you recognize the items that would be included. So for me, this is a listing checklist for residential, single-family residential. I will add in all of the required templates, task templates to this activity plan to ensure that I'm completing all of the required workflow throughout that sale process. I can automatically add this activity plan to new transaction types. When I start a new transaction, maybe to that residential listing transaction file, I can automatically include this listing checklist for single-family residential. Selecting that, each time I start a new transaction file of type residential listing, this activity plan will be automatically added. click here, Save Activity Plan. Again, optional item. You don't have to automatically associate it. You can certainly add it in manually, but this way you will definitely ensure that these items are added each time you start that new residential listing transaction type. Now we're going to add our plan items. We first created the plan. Now we're going to access our task templates. We are going to include these templates in our listing checklist. So again, maybe one of them is the ads for the new listing in open house. And maybe it's not every 30 days, maybe it's after 60 days. And we do want to call the seller every 7 days. And we can continue to move through. Let's just click here now to show all activity plan items, just so I can get the full list. We can add a few more to this activity plan. Looks like I did lose those, so let me check them again. 30, 60, and call every 7. Copies of addendums, maybe copies of sellers' closing estimates. We'll need that. MLS listing sheet. Again, we're just going to pick these items out. There's the one that we created, the final walkthrough. You can see our task template is in there as well. Sure, that's more of a buyer side, so we won't pick it, but it's there and it's available to us. Follow-up calls after daily showings. Again, you most likely create a lot of your own personal office tasks that need to be completed. So certainly select the ones from our list, add the ones that are unique to your business practice or to your office. There's some order, the title policy, things of that, yard sign and lockbox. There's ones that pick up your commission check. I don't know if you need to be reminded of that, but perhaps sometimes it is a good reminder. Put that sold clip in the yard. There are things like that. All right, so we've created this activity plan. We've started. Maybe there is that seller's disclosure. You're going to need that as well. We're adding the task templates to add to our activity plan. So we're importing these task templates into our activity plan so that we can quickly add these. How many did I choose? Quite a few, it felt like. A decent number of items, workflow items added to our overall activity plan, that new listing checklist for single-family residential. We've automatically assigned it, so each time we start a new transaction type of residential listing, this activity plan, this group of task templates will be automatically associated with our new file. I'm going to save this activity plan, and we've come back to that activity plan page. Task templates are the building blocks. Activity plans are the associated groups or checklists to manage that workflow through your transaction file. About 10 minutes to go here. I'm going to click on the Home tab. I'm going to go back. Let's click on the Settings tab first. Let's back out through the Settings tab. Clicking here. Remember, this is where we go to access our activity plans. Clicking here on Settings. At any time, we can come in and add, update, or delete our activity plans and task workflow items. Settings tab, activity plans. I did mention sharing. Here is also within your Settings tab, sharing. You can create share groups. You can grant access to your online transaction files to the other licensed realtors within your office, within your sale office. So if you work within a listing team or you work with a business partner, you can create a share group for that person or those people. You can then share your online transaction files with those people shared. I bring all this up because the people that you share your transaction files with are available assignees to your individual tasks. Anyone that you share with can be an available assignee to your task. So if you do work within that team environment, you can share the team within your transaction file. You can assign the workflow to those appropriate team members. But the first step in there is creating that share group. We do have a 30-minute webinar on this entire Settings tab. That webinar does show how to create a share group But pretty self-explanatory. Sometimes just finding where to set it up is the biggest first step. So settings is that space. Going back to the Home tab. So now where can we apply these tasks? Well, we can either work with tasks individually within that kind of vertical, if you will, within that section of our Transaction Desk Pro account. Tasks is one of those. So let me click here on Tasks, and this will show a list of all of the open tasks that I have on this account, and I can filter it, as you see at the top, show all tasks by due date. So these are the ones that are due most post haste. I can also do it by status or other appropriate filtering. This filters the tasks that I have within my Transaction Desk Pro account. This shows all of them, the ones that I added in here uniquely, or the ones that I've added into my transaction files. They are all here. See, I have 40 open tasks right now that need to be completed. Let me click on one of them just so we can see, again, this is the task. This is the callback. There's no due date at this time. I can set a specific due date if that's appropriate, or I can have it be due a specific time within the milestone dates within my transaction files. So these are some tasks that been added in. So you can manage them through individually, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You can work with tasks individually. You see all the ones you've added in to your transaction files and to your Transaction Desk Pro account, or you can work with tasks within your transaction files. So the ones that are associated to a particular client. So we're looking at tasks now. Let's click on Transactions. Clicking on Transactions, we will go to our transaction files. We can associate our tasks to these transaction files. That's really the benefit of the transaction file concept. It really incorporates all of the elements of your Transaction Desk Pro account, your forms library, your documents and document storage, as well as your task management. So these items can be worked with individually or within this transaction file concept, where when we create a transaction file, I'm going to click here on the Frank Franklin file, we'll see that we can see our forms, our documents, our participants, and our tasks. So here are the tasks that are associated to my Frank Franklin transaction file. Frank Franklin buyer transaction, tasks that are associated. So let's see if I had shared. I want to show a couple of these opportunities. Clicking on sharing, and I didn't have any share set up, so I don't know if I can show that specifically. But here are the tasks that are associated with our Frank Franklin transaction file. These are the ones that are client specific. These are the ones that we need to complete for our Frank Franklin new buyer client. Order termite inspection, a lot of these will happen at some point after an offer acceptance date or something like that, but just wanting to highlight how you can associate tasks and task templates to your transaction files. You can import your task templates. If we need to add them as we go through those sale phases, we can import them from our list of 70 or 75 task templates that are in there. We can bring them in individually. We can bring them in as activity plans. As we go through those sale phases, you can add that next grouping of required workflow. So once you go from a new client prospect to a new client, or to a new client under contract, a whole new set of workflow is required. When you have that new prospect, getting the pre-qualification letters and creating the MLS profile sheets, and those are the things that need to be done. Now once you've submitted an offer and you're under contract, a whole set of additional workflow is now going to be required to successfully move that contract to close. And then once you get to close, there's probably a whole new set of workflow that needs to be completed post-close to record it and to manage that post-close aspect of a transaction file. So you can add your activity plans through those phases of your transaction files, those statuses. As you move through those sale file statuses, you can import the appropriate workflow for those transaction files and for those clients. The other people that you can, so that's tasks. We kind of looked at sharing. I kind of feel compelled to go in and create a share so we can see the opportunity to share or assign our tasks to those people in our share. We are coming up to that 30-minute, so I do want to do this quickly. Going to click here on Settings. Again, we're going to go back. We're going to create a share so we can see the opportunity to assign those folks some tasks. So clicking here on Settings, I'm going to go back to the Settings tab. I'm going to create this share. Clicking on Sharing, Continue. So maybe I do work with the listing team or at least a business partner when I'm out of town, or they put out the yard sign lock boxes. I manage the MLS listings and photo uploads and document uploads. So I would like to create a new share group. Clicking on the Go arrow. We'll give it a name, and we'll just call it Business Partner. I don't know. Stay generic. Again, free-form text. Type in the identifier that's going to help you identify this share group, whoever it is, even if it's just the person's name. That certainly is an acceptable share name, is the person's name or the people's name who you're going to add to the share. And I'm going to create this new share. So I have a share here, and this is just my business partner. That's Lance as my business partner. And I want to give Lance the appropriate access, read, so they can see the items, write, so they can see or add detail, and full. I'm going to give Lance full access to this transaction so that I can assign him tasks to this transaction file. I'm going to, sorry, I was pointing at the wrong one, wasn't looking where I was clicking, but I'm going to add here, just above access is add. Clicking on add, it's going to add Lance into this share group. Well, it's not much of a group, it's just one person, but he will be added in. I will now be able to manually add him in as a share to my online transaction file or files. So I create him once, I add him into all the appropriate transaction files, and only the appropriate transaction files. He's not going to be automatically added in to any of my files. I will need to manually add him in to the appropriate ones. It may be all of them, but you will need to manually add him in each time you want to include that share in your online transaction file. Seems to be stalling here a little bit. Let me go ahead and just click, see if I can save this share information. Must select at least one person. Okay. Select. I add. All right. Well, looks like I added them 4 times. So let me, again, anyone you can add, you can also remove. I do want to remove those additional 3. So there we go. I got a little impatient. I apologize. We added Lance into the share. We're saving this share information. He is now a potential share. So why did I go all through that? And hopefully I didn't lose anybody. I apologize if I did, but I wanted to create this share group. So now when I'm going back to transactions here, the second row of links, second from the right, transactions, clicking on transactions, going back into that Frank Franklin buyer transaction. I want to show that we can share, we can assign tasks to these other parties of our file. So there's our business partner is in there now. I would like to share, add him in, assign him immediately via email, and add that new share for the selected member. He now has access to my file. He's going to be notified that he has access to this online transaction file. Now he becomes an available assignee to the tasks that I have attached to this transaction file because he is the person who calls to order the inspections and to take care of those workflow items. So this task will be due so many days, let's say 3 days after the offer acceptance date. That acceptance date, we are going to submit requests for these. Lance is the one who does that. He is now an available assignee to my task. I add him in. I can either leave myself there or remove myself from that task. I can notify him immediately that this task will be due, and I save that task. Task management, to-do lists, the opportunity to manage this workflow through our web-based application, entirely web-based application, access to your online transaction files, your tasks, your documents, your forms through any web-enabled desktop, laptop, or tablet PC, and being rolled out to everyone through our DocBox to Go, our mobile application DocBox to Go. Manage these transaction files through any web-enabled desktop, laptop, and tablet, and coming on its way, mobile devices, Windows mobile devices, smartphones like iPhones and Blackberries and Treos and Androids. Access your transaction files, manage your sale process through our web-based applications. Task management, again, clicking on tasks, one more look at the tasks. Now that we've added some more in there, we can see the additional tasks as they come through. I can see all of them by particular due dates or by particular status, work with them individually, work with them associated to transaction files. Clicking back on the Home tab, I want to thank you very much for your time, your energy, and effort to participate. I'm going to re-raise this audio message. I'm going to scroll down here a smidge. Webinars@instantnetsolutions.com. Anytime you have questions, comments, general observations, please do not hesitate to email webinars@instantnetsolutions.com. We will follow up and appropriately and promptly to your questions and follow-up items. Webinars@instantnetsolutions.com. Transactiondesk.com/webinars is our link to our live session, or excuse me, our live schedule of webinar sessions. They are free. They are unlimited, so please do sign up for as many as you would benefit from attending. You can also access the link and to the live as well as recorded sessions through that GoTo Training sidebar. Again, if that sidebar is collapsed against the right-hand side of your screen, top right corner of your computer monitor, red box, white arrow, click on the arrow, expand that GoTo Training sidebar, access the materials page, access the chat to type questions, and finish out this session. I will remain for 5 minutes past the audio portion, so please don't hesitate to continue to type those questions. And until we webinar again, I hope you have a tremendous, tremendous day.